Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 146 for April 16th, 2025. I am Nemesis and I am joined by Alcatraz.
Hello.
Guaranteed tariff-free. Anyway, so...
oh God. Imagine if they started trying to...
Tariff like digital stuff.
Tariff digital stuff, yeah.
Ugh.
God, I wouldn't put it past him. He's stupid enough.
He's stupid enough to try. Anyway, anime news, a couple good news things. Number one, they announced a new Ghost in the Shell project.
Yeah, that just like recently popped up in like...
I just don't know what it is exactly, but more Ghost in the Shell. Cool.
More Ghost in the Shell, which is always...
I heard some rumblings. It's like a more like... what's the word I'm looking for?
True to original?
Yeah, true to original type of thing. More...
True to source?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said the picture looks a lot like the original manga art style.
The problem is I'm worried about is I heard the manga itself was actually kind of bland or something.
Well, could be, but
the anime took enough. All the liberties the anime took was what elevated it.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
yeah. Everyone knows the movie more.
I remember, Sailor Moon. Everyone loves the original anime. And then there's that remake, which was much more, much closer aligned to the original manga, and a lot of people kind of found it kind of bland.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it can happen. But then the question is is it true to original art style, story, or both?
Yeah.
Could be take liberties, make it more interesting, but still stick to the art style. That could be a thing. I don't know, but it's a thing.
Which Science Saru, where the studio attached to it, which means at least look good.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's a well-known
look good
studio.
On the Blu-ray, apparently. If I recall, Science Saru is the one that has a tendency to kind of fix it all for the Blu-ray release.
Oh.
And then the other big anime announcement was they announced Steel Ball Run JoJo. Steel Ball Run part.
Oh.
Yep, the next chapter of JoJo.
More JoJo.
Yep.
Gotta love them fried potatoes.
Eventually we gotta get to that one, but that's also
that
will be also a time investment.
Yeah.
Gotta do it eventually though.
Yeah, it's before it gets One Piece big or whatnot. So big we can't get to it anymore.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out eventually because I guess we kind of found an experiment for a really long one just now.
God.
Because, I guess go ahead and diving into it now. My Hero Academia Season 7.
Season 7.
Yep. We are now caught up.
We are caught up.
Although Vigilantes just it started.
Yeah, but that's a spin-off, so we can treat
But I understand
it separately.
that is supposed to be a one-season thing, period. So we might be able to do that one before Season 8 comes out, too.
Potentially. When is Season 8 supposed to come out?
Fall. We talked about that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but I have a memory of
it's one season, two, it's 24 or whatever episodes, something like that.
So it's one long season.
Yeah, so we might be able to talk about that too. I think that's it. I think it's supposed to be just a one season, no more type of story. Prequel. It's apparently a prequel too. But yeah. So season 7, it is at its core, to sum it up, it's essentially the first chunk of the final battle.
The entire season.
Yeah, seriously, there is no stopping. It just keeps going, and with the big final battle, there is no it's not multiple arcs. It's a singular. It's not even a full arc itself. It's just kind of a good chunk of the final battle before ending on quite the cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's just, man, this battle started at the end of last season, and we still haven't even. Yeah, it's like it's all just been one thing.
It's one long...
But it is multifaceted, I will say that. So it's not just focusing on just two people punching at each other for 24 episodes or whatnot. It does shift.
This planet will be destroyed in 5 minutes. Everyone knows exactly what I'm referring to with that one.
Are we ever going to hit Deep Dragon Ball?
You're not hitting that, thankfully, because Season 8 is confirmed the final season.
Okay.
At the beginning of the season, you actually get this 4-episode thing called Memories, which is just basically just 4 episodes of recap with very little new animation, and most of that is not really animation and just characters standing around while narrating, I guess, in their head about stuff that happened. Okay. So yeah, the season starts off, we talked a little bit because they teased it at the end of last season, which is, oh hey, look, the Americans are here.
Oh no.
The Americans are here. So yeah, the America's number one hero, Star and Stripe, because of course, that's how Japan sees us. Which
fair enough.
All right, yeah, okay. I'm not going to argue anymore about that.
No, fair enough.
There was a point I might have argued against it. I'm not going to anymore.
No.
But regardless, so they're number one hero. So U.S. is number one hero, and possibly the number one hero in the world. Decides to just go off on her own and take a whole bunch of, of her, a squad of airmen and just kind of go.
Yeah.
to
All Might
Japan.
made a call for help,
Yep.
and the governments were like, I don't know. We kind of need them
hesitating
here.
because listen, things are kind of going bad here because the whole thing was like All for One has basically a criminal empire that spans the globe, and his criminal empire is starting to act up.
Yeah.
And it's pretty clear he's trying to exert control over the whole thing.
Yep.
Regardless, so she goes off, and part of it goes because she was mentored by All Might. So
Of course.
she goes and fights Shigaraki, and initially she's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Her quirk is a New Order, which is basically if she touches something and says its name, she can basically dictate a rule about it that it must follow now.
Yep. And even if it violates physics.
Yep. And the thing is, she can only do two things at once, but the thing is she's also pretty much constantly doing one to herself.
Yep.
And, initially she's doing really well, but the problem is the name thing.
The name thing came up.
Namely, she calls him Shigaraki. The problem is because of the whole weird melding of All for One and Shigaraki, at this point he's not quite Shigaraki anymore.
Not quite any of them.
So I think they theorized that if she called him All for One, it probably would have worked. But regardless, it didn't work, and that gave him an opening, and he used Decay on her, and also stole her quirk, because that would be really useful.
It would be
incredibly useful. Like everyone's like, oh god, if he gets her quirk, it's all over.
Yeah, it would be.
Except she was ready for this.
Yep, she had forethought.
And she basically gave her quirk an order, which is it's going to destroy other quirks.
Yep.
And so we get basically that. So he gets the quirk, and all of a sudden he just starts exploding, I guess. Like, yeah, it's like he's like, what's going on? What's happening? And then then we get that weird meta realm thing with the quirks.
The mindscape.
And then she's there just ripping apart the quirks that are attached to All for One.
Yep.
And of course, as she's falling apart, that was the thing. That was one of the other fail safes, because he's like, I got to get rid of this quirk now. Tries to do that. It does not work. And yeah, so she rips away a lot of the quirks. We don't know how many. We don't know how many have been built up. But she rips away a lot of them as her quirk fades away to a kind of really metal-looking skeleton thing. Giant skeleton woman thing, and then disappears entirely. Yeah, so the big thing about that arc is a lot of people are a little upset with Star and Stripe because, let's see. My understanding is a lot of people, Horikoshi, the manga author, creator of this whole thing, got a lot of feedback, which is your manga is a little bit sexist.
No.
So he kind of heard that, and he went, okay. So he introduces a brand new female character who's really strong and powerful and everything, only to get her butt beaten within 2 chapters or whatever the manga.
Yeah, within a couple episodes, she's dead.
Yeah, she's gone, dead.
It's like that.
And a lot of people are like, you really didn't understand the problem, did you? So it's really frustrating. Yeah, he not only did he just decided to, rather than utilize the, female characters he already has, he introduces a new one, and then proceeds to kill her off almost immediately.
Yep.
Because he also, I guess, part of it, he wanted to have the storytelling thing about, showing how big of a threat Shigaraki is. We already knew that, one.
We already knew he
Two,
was a threat.
It's the other thing that was later on in the season, feels like maybe he did catch on, because how the other characters do start doing things.
Yeah.
So it's like,
maybe it's weird.
Regardless, it feels really tone deaf.
Yeah.
At the best. So it's like, it's still cool. She actually dealt a major blow, but
and it could be that if it wasn't for her actions and that, it may have been that he loses a quirk in that he really needed.
Yeah,
it could be that her sacrifice is super important in a later game, but still.
Also, that was the other thing she did by doing this. She also discovered, I think she was able to help them discover something else about Shigaraki. If I recall, something she did. It was like they got information from her because they were able to give her, the crewmen who survived. They gave further information to them about Shigaraki, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I remember something like that.
Yeah.
Now.
So after all that, though, then
they hung around and helped even when they weren't supposed to. So
yeah,
they got some planes with lasers on them.
Yeah, and of course, after a defeat, the number one hero in the world gets defeated. It's like everyone else is like, yeah, no, we're not doing anything. Ain't sending anyone to Japan.
Yeah.
And then we got the whole thing where it's like, the battle starts playing out because they come up with a plan to basically separate a bunch of the villains apart from each other so they can take them down, separately. and basically station people in such a way that they can have the best shot of defeating all of them.
Yep.
But one big thing was separating Shigaraki and All for One far enough apart. They can't really do their weird mental telepathy sort of pseudo thing they have. So they can't do that. Well, the plan. Actually, the plan was going off pretty well initially.
And then it wasn't.
And then, of course, it wasn't because we can't ever have nice things.
God, this whole thing is just like...
Ebb and flow.
Yeah. There's supposed to be an ebb and flow where... it builds up to a crescendo, a big thing happens, and then it calms down, and then it builds up again and calms down, and each one's supposed to do that. But it seems like we keep doing it over and over again.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's a multifaceted battle. You kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
Because, that was the other thing. That's one thing we kind of lost. We didn't actually talk about it at all, which we should have. They utilized Kurogiri's portal. Remember one of the big black mist guy from the League of Villains?
Because he's apparently, a Nomu.
Yeah, because we kind of forgot about talking about that 2 seasons ago. Yeah, it's real. He's a Nomu, and on top of that, he's a Nomu using the body of a friend of Eraserhead and Present Mike's. They were like really close with him, and now when they find that out, and they were able to get through to him in a way, sort of briefly,
a little bit briefly.
Regardless, they basically, because they have him captured, they're able to basically have
the really annoying dude from 1B,
Monoma.
Yeah,
They're able to copy the quirk and then use that to split all the heroes and villains apart into separate places.
Yep, was able to copy his quirk, and then he became super useful elsewhere after that.
And then because there's the other thing, which is they built what they call the coffin in the sky for Shigaraki.
Yep.
And they have him constantly because Aizawa, he got an eye patch and his legs cut off, and his quirk's not as useful anymore. They have him basically just basically touching Monoma so that he's constantly has the quirk because it fades after 5 minutes, but if he's constantly touching,
then he constantly.
And then the other guy again doing the water on his eyes so he can keep his eyes open. Yeah, doing that to
same thing that was going on the last time they had battle, except
now
Monoma is doing it.
There's a big old force field, electromagnetic field electromagnetic field or whatever between them. So no nonsense there.
Yeah, supposedly.
Well, then.
So keeping him trapped on this platform, and the entire support team is underneath, keeping the platform running, and.
Yep. And then, of course, Izuku was supposed to be there to fight him, and then, guess who showed up? Himiko.
Himiko disrupted it by snagging Izuku right at the last minute.
Right at the last second, got him and took him to the wrong place, which kind of threw a monkey wrench in everything.
Yep, so it was Bakugo and the crew had to fight Shigaraki on their own without Izuku.
Yep.
For a while.
Yeah, that was one big thing. And then you have Endeavor and Shoto and stuff. Endeavor's over.
And
Endeavor and Hawks were fighting All for One.
Yep.
Along with that, Jiro's there, and so was Todoroki.
Not Todoroki.
It starts with the T.
Yeah.
Bird guy. And I know it starts with the T. I had it in my Tokoyami.
Tokoyami. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, Tokoyami is there too, and several other heroes.
There's all the little guys too.
You have to, they're defending Gigantomachia from being retaken from the. So like you have Mount Lady, Kirishima, Mina.
Yep, and they're guarding the facility because they assume that at the same point the villains are gonna show up to try and recapture.
Yep.
Gigantomachia.
And then they got word about then of course they have to keep Kurogiri from being grabbed too. So you have
that was a whole thing.
Koda.
And Shoji.
Along with Present Mike and a couple other heroes defending that.
Yep.
They're going up against Spinner.
And
who's been powered up a bit by All for One.
Yep.
And then, you got Shoto and some of Endeavor's sidekicks and Ingenium, Ida, going up against Dabi.
Yep, going up against Dabi.
And then with Himiko, it's supposed to be Ochiko and Tsu because they had experience fighting her, plus a couple other heroes. But of course, Izuku got dragged in because why did Izuku not? This is an interesting thing, which was why did Izuku's danger sense not go off? Because apparently, because Himiko doesn't mean harm to him in the sense that the way it works.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to confess to him. So her danger sense did not register it as a danger.
Because her Even with you be stabby, it's like I
It's
stab you
for
because I
her,
love you.
It's a
I
love
like
thing,
you.
so
It's
it
not
doesn't register
danger.
as
It's like-
danger. So he's like, oh crap.
That's not good because it still hurts.
Yeah, we get that. So yeah, that's a thing. And then he has to run off. He has to go the hard way to get back because he can't use the portal thing anymore because now
Monoma's now
already-
doing Aizawa's job.
Yeah.
Can't use a portal.
Yeah, so he has to go fly back.
And then he that's where he meets up with the leftover American planes who get him there quicker.
Mhm. And on top of that, then he also gets one more quirk, gear shift.
Gear shift. We finally find the last quirk.
Yeah, which is lets him.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
He can change the speed of things, including himself, just on
Yep.
a whim, which can be very useful,
Yep.
as we see.
Yeah, so
Basically, he can nullify momentum if he needs to.
and he uses it pretty effectively, pretty quickly.
Yep, he makes very quick use
Although,
of
as
it.
you see, the problem is he overdoes it a little bit because
Yeah.
he has to.
Yep.
Yeah, so again, most of it starts going well, and then it starts not going well. You got stuff like, oh, look, we might actually be able to beat All For One, but of course, All For One keeps pulling tricks out of his butt
Yep.
because he keeps doing that.
Because All For One's one of his big things is that he has plans upon plans upon plans upon plans with backups upon backups upon backups. He's planned everything. So if one thing fails, he has like 30 others ready to take its place.
Yeah, of course, you got the whole thing, Spinner assaulting the hospital using, that's a whole thing we have to talk
That's
about
a whole thing we should talk about.
And
Oh,
that
boy.
looked like, he looked like they stopped him only for him to get up and finish the job.
A lot of them, it was like, we had that with Dabi. Huge fight with Dabi, and it was
Stopped
starting
him.
to go, and then we finally stopped him, and
Nope,
And
he just burns
Shoto-
hotter.
was able to stop him. And it was like, yes, and the news report went out. Dabi's been defeated.
Yep.
We did it. And that's like, yes, we're winning. We can do this. And then Dabi got back up, and it got worse.
Yep.
All For One. They basically defeated him, and then he pulled by the way, I have a little syringe of Eddie's quirk that starts reverting me to undo all this now.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of the last resort because
It is the last-
it
It
will
doesn't
not-
stop reverting him.
Yeah, he will eventually be a baby. Are you going to beat up a baby? Heck yeah, I'll beat up.
I'll punch a baby.
I'll punch a baby. I know what he's done. I know what that baby's done. Exactly. Wring his little neck. Does he have the coordination to even still use those quirks? We don't know.
It's like he's already getting younger at this point. He's starting to hit teenage years. Unfortunately, that means you've got All For One with all the power and teenage angst.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, as we see, that kind of you're able to kind of use that against him.
Yes, All For One. No, All Might use that against him a little bit.
Well, actually, it's mostly
'Cause that's
it's the
another
whole
thing that starts
combination
happening
with
later.
Shigaraki's rage.
That yeah.
Too,
But combine Shigaraki's role. I think Shigaraki's just pure teenage angst.
Well, Shigaraki's 20-something. That's the thing. He's a 20.
Yeah, but because of his development, it's a bit stunted. So I don't think he's ever getting out of the teenage angst stage. He could be 50 years old and still be an angsty teenager.
Yeah, so regardless. So, you got the whole thing where, Shoto was able to defeat Dabi initially, but then, because he developed a new way to use his quirk.
Yep, a new technique.
Yep. I remember what it started with. It's like with a P.
Yeah, it's not Prominence Burn. It was
No.
something else. But yeah, it has like a flaming X on his
Yeah, he was able to
chest.
use it to defeat Dabi. The problem is Dabi then gets back up and then
Copies
mimics it
Mimics it,
to
sort of.
burn even hotter.
Yep, at the sacrifice of
Dabi-
himself.
Dabi is willing. Basically, that's his whole thing. We found out with Dabi, he's kind of because one of the things they start showing backstory stuff, more of the backstory stuff, particularly with some of the villains. Dabi, we find out more about what happened after he burned down that forest. What happened was he got surprised. He got grabbed by All For One. And apparently, he's considered to be one of the one of the early considerations for a vessel for All For One.
Right.
But the problem was, when he burned the crap out of himself,
It damaged the body, and All For One didn't want it anymore.
The thing was, it was initially like in a coma for like 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And they tried to brainwash him, but it's like at this point they didn't realize, like, wow, his hatred for his dad was so extreme that he's not going to listen to All For One even.
Yeah.
So they expect him. He's dead. He's going to die now because he left. He's dead in a month. And nope. And then suddenly he comes back again, still alive, basically just being at the point pure hatred and spite.
It's just alive by willpower alone.
Yeah. And he's coming into this. He knows full well he's not going to survive, but that's not really the point. he's going to take out his father.
Yep.
And a lot of the things his father apparently holds dear, who possibly is, his son Shoto.
Well, he kind of also blames Shoto.
Yeah,
as well for everything.
That's the whole thing. There, it's just he's very much willing to kill himself, and we see that he's burning so hot now. He's burning away.
Yep. The whole point. I'm gonna go boom. I'm gonna blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
And it gets to a point where the entire Todoroki family shows up, and Endeavor comes. Basically, I gotta take care of this because it's my fault.
Yep. It's all my fault.
And then Ray goes after them too.
Mom shows up and starts using her power.
Yeah, then the sibling, everyone's there to stop Dabi, and then Shoto does his big new thing and shuts it all down. Of course, we also see at the end there, Dabi's burning real hot, and basically at this point he's starting to cook his brain to the point where it's not working so well anymore.
It wasn't working great beforehand, but even
at this
worse
point,
now.
You know what I mean? It's like at this point he's burning so hot, his thought processes are kind of gone.
Yep.
But he also has that moment of, wait, actually, maybe I don't want this.
Oh, all my family's here. Shit.
He's had that. Oh, wait, maybe I don't want this. But at one point it's too late.
Yeah.
But they're able to stop him. But it's like kind of have the last few words with him where it's like,
I hate you.
Oh my God, that was one heck of a scene.
Yeah.
The whole Todoroki family there, and man. Yeah, that was a big end cap to the whole Todoroki saga, really.
Mm-hmm. I think it does put a nice wrapping up, at least putting it into I think it, I don't want to say it wraps it up, but it definitely puts things back together into a nice, cleaner path forward for the whole family as a unit.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yep, emotionally powerful scenes. That's the other thing. It's this weird thing. It's like even though season 7 is mostly just them fighting, there still has time to have those more emotionally poignant scenes throughout, which is really good because otherwise it kind of grate on you because like
it's just
can we just get over
all the fight? It just never stops.
One thing I'll also say is I think this is it can be a little confusing, which is they have a constant jumping in the timeline. There's a lot of jumping around, not just within the battle itself, but previous to the battle and whatnot. You have to constantly jump to the point. Sometimes it got bad enough that like we literally jumped back to, this was just like 5 seconds ago. Why are we jumping back to 5 seconds ago? In the same area. We're not even jumping to a different area. We're jumping to the same characters. We're jumping to something that said literally 5 seconds ago. Why?
Why? Why don't you just start with that?
It's so bizarre sometimes.
This is not how you use in media res.
Like someone was also, we want to show we just want to get the battle started and then show how they planned it all, right? We're going to go back and show that. I was like, okay, I get that stuff. But like, some of it's like, I think it's a very mixed bag in how that was handled with the whole jumping time thing.
I get it. I get that it's hard to do because you set up this battle that's happening simultaneously in like 4 or 5 different places and you're trying to show all of what's happening, so you're going to be jumping time back and forth a bit just to show that, but probably could have done it better than that.
One thing was also you have the all for one thing. You have they initially seem to have got him, like they burned him to a crisp. Endeavor burned him to a crisp, and then he just kind of starts taunting them again. Then body reform and all that stuff. And Jiro was there, and she actually, hey, look, Jiro's fighting all for one.
Jiro's fighting all
That's
for one.
That's one of the things that means. Like, hey, look, she's doing something significant.
Yeah. She gets her ear blown off.
Yeah, because her ear blown off. Which,
I don't know if it's a whole ear, but
yeah, she lost one of her little aux cords.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's
going to be a bit of a blow for
her career. Yeah. Wonder maybe it'll grow back. Who knows?
Well, I mean,
usually those things don't.
Get Ari on the case.
Oh yeah, Ari, fix me up. Ari, fix me up.
Yeah. Also, I think Lemillion back again.
Yep, Lemillion, and he came in clutch.
Yeah, for particularly Shigaraki, because he can't touch him. The giant Machia was the other thing.
Yep, that was a big one.
He escaped. Eventually, he doesn't escape because one of the villains was able to get in there with that little thing that basically emulates All for One's voice, kind of. And regardless, it gets Gigantomachia moving.
Yeah.
But then it turns out, he's upset at All for One. He feels abandoned and betrayed. He's like, oh my gosh. Whoops. So he's now willing to, because that was a cool thing. Because Dark Shadow, Mount Lady, and Gigantomachia all just beating the crap out of All for One. Just the giant things all just punching into the ground.
Yep. Well, the other one with Gigantomachia was they tried to wake him up, but the heroes had a secret weapon.
Oh yeah, too.
The
Shinso.
brainwashing dude with his voice
Shinso.
changer was able to emulate the voice of All for One and take command of
And
Gigantomachia.
then eventually like he's like, I can't do that. Like he's like John Machi is like, saying things is like, I can't make him do things like that. I don't have control over him.
Yeah,
Now,
because
this is him. This is all him now.
Yeah, because what happened? Because all it takes is you just gotta hit Gigantomachia to wake him up
Yep.
from it, and they do that. They hit him. All for One hits him in the face with something, and it wakes him up. But he still goes back after All for One because he's actually pissed off at All for One right now.
Why'd you leave me?
Yep.
Like a child.
Yep.
Regardless, yeah, All for One is able to escape again and keeps flying off.
And he's trying to catch up back with Shigaraki.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, 'cause that's the thing with Shigaraki fight. They're like trying to hold out because Izuku's not there, and they need to hold out for long enough for Izuku to show up. And oh boy, things are happening. Mirko's there, Best Genius is there, Bakugo's there.
A lot of the big players are there.
Yeah, they're fighting, and it's like, was it Ed Shot? Yeah, Ed Shot, I think was one. And they're fighting him, and it's like they seem to be at least somewhat holding him off, but it's just slowly they're being backed away. Particularly since he has the thing where it's like it's not a quirk, it's just him growing. What?
Yeah, that part makes no sense.
It's all basically just massive fingers.
Yeah, massive fingers,
Well,
hands,
the way
whatnot.
Aizawa's quirk canceling thing works is kind of weird because wouldn't that mean if you activate it on like say Toru's Invisible Girl, wouldn't that mean she becomes visible? Well, no, turns out she doesn't. She's still invisible regardless. So stuff like, or like, the heteromorphs, where it's like, they see them with the, got that whole thing, like they, these mutations, they don't go away just because he uses a quirk on them. So that's clear, like, it's something like mutation thing or something. It's weird. It's one of those, the rules of quirks are kind of strange and sometimes a little bit ass-pully.
Yeah. I mean, like I mentioned a few episodes ago, why do we have quirks that make you develop artificial man-made things in your body? That's not evolution. You have a literal engine and exhaust pipes in your leg. What the heck is that? But yeah, he's got like tentacle finger arm.
Yep.
That fills the whole
problem
space.
is it's so much mass now, though. The coffin's starting to sink because it can't hold that much weight.
Yep.
And they're like, you got Creatine down there just constantly just making new supplies for them. They have to keep her fed because so she keep going with that.
Yep.
Yeah, she's constantly making new supplies that they repair and replace stuff because they have to, because it's constantly breaking, because it's like hastily put together.
Yep.
Because they didn't not have time to properly do it. There's that. And then finally, it gets this whole thing where it's like Shigaraki's I remember you with the Bakugo.
The Bakugo fight. Yeah.
Stops him. Bakugo puts his all into it and like still gets, and Bakugo has that moment of, am I really that far apart from Izuku?
Yeah. Because puts his all and barely scratches him.
And you realize if Izuku's the only person oh wow, I am way out of my league.
And then
he gets his arm broken first, and then he comes back up and keeps fighting anyway.
Because it's Bakugo, and
he seemingly he does something, but it doesn't quite work as well as I hoped. And then this time Shigaraki at this point, irritated by the extra, which is funny, considering he blows a hole through Bakugo's heart.
Yep.
And kills him.
He dead, basically.
Bakugo's dead.
Essentially.
At the end of the season, Bakugo's dead. Granted, we see Ed Shot is doing his darndest. Basically, he can turn himself into basically a fine fiber-like thing, and he said he's going to become Bakugo's new heart.
Yep.
He's trying. He hasn't succeeded, but he's trying. That's when Izuku showed up shortly after Bakugo died, and he's like, "Hey, everyone, how's it go?" Oh. He's like seeing everyone's just like on the ground collapse, and then Bakugo's dead, and it's like, Izuku not happy.
Not happy. Starts to kind of lose it, and fortunately reins it in, but...
then he fights Shigaraki, and all shows, and the problem is, then other things happen too.
The coffin can barely contain it.
Yeah, well, that too. But there also there's the fight with Spinner and whatnot. Which is an interesting thing. So, like, what they do is they get a whole bunch of people with heteromorphic quirks, to basically march and basically because of the injustices against them. We see that. We see a little bit about which is like this. You can see why this is why Koda and Shoji are the ones there, and they specifically requested that because they heard about what was going on, and yeah, it's basically like heteromorphic people, people with heteromorphic quirks are often discriminated against. This was kind of alluded to before, but this is the first time they really put this front and center.
Yep.
But yeah, people with heteromorphic quirks tend to be discriminated against, and it was like they even talk about like in the city, oh yeah, it's not really a big deal, but out in the countryside, oh yeah, it's still pretty much a problem. Like in the U.S., we still have sundown towns.
Yeah.
It's still a problem, and when you see that Shoji grew up out in the countryside, he got beat up on a regular basis because he was heteromorphic.
Yep. That's why he wears a mask.
Yeah, and we see it's not necessarily because he's got a different face. It's because his face is all scarred up. Because like at one point he had this point where he's being beat up on a regular basis, and then one time he sees a girl drowning in the river. He goes and rescues her, and what happens? They beat him up for it.
Yep. Any excuse.
Yep.
Any excuse they can use, even if it makes no sense.
So you got this thing where Spinner, who's heteromorphic, and he's got his own issues with that. And he's leading this charge, and they've got the guy because at this point Spinner's brain don't work right.
Yep, the quirk that All For One gave him also messed with his head.
You have another guy who's basically trying to rally everyone, and he's saying, he's basically telling everyone to talk about the injustice they all face, and they're all hyped up to tear it all down. Because, the society won't, leave them alone, so we'll go tear it down. Okay, so let's unpack here on this one. So I can see a couple of perspectives on this one. It's pretty clear to me, it feels like it's kind of there's a danger where you can easily take people who have a righteous anger and point that anger in the wrong direction.
You can manipulate it
Someone,
to your
an
own
outside
gains.
party can come in and manipulate that anger to point in the wrong direction. This does happen.
Absolutely happens.
And that's the thing, is it very much makes it clear, though, that anger, the heroes themselves, it's Koda and Shoji, both make it clear, that anger is righteous anger.
Yeah, you have every right to be angry, and you shouldn't
just
ignore it.
Both of them have been experienced that discrimination as well. So, yeah, they make that clear. It's the righteous anger. And what breaks it of them, at first it starts saying like he's getting it through to them, right? Like, there's, shouting at them, this is not how we need to do things. Of course, that's the whole thing about...
There's the whole thing there.
The right way to protest, right?
Yep.
Which might not be what he's quite intending here, considering this is not really protest at the point.
Yeah.
But regardless, he's trying to get through to them like, we can't be doing this. You're attacking a hospital. You're attacking a hospital.
There are patients.
And a lot of them
here.
start going hesitating, like,
oh yeah, it is a hospital.
But then the other guy, of course, starts rallying him again because, particularly, to me first, like, hey, Jay Spinner, you need to say something. You're the leader, and he's like, when he's talking about it, he just says, "Who cares?"
Yep.
And everyone's like, "What? What? What do you mean? Who cares?" That's kind of a big deal. And then the guy, of course, hey, look, I guess the prophet guy.
Yeah, I don't know what to call him.
Reinterpreting his words to make everyone rally. But that's the thing. A bunch of them get into the hospital, and they're all ready to go. And they get in there. They see it's just a line of doctors and nurses just standing there in the hallway. That's it. They're just standing there as human shield, basically, protect everyone in the hospital. And they get there, and they see that. And of course, several of them are also heteromorphic. And they're like, "What are we doing?" Yeah, that moment of like, why are we doing it? These aren't the people who wronged us.
No. Unfortunately, at that point, Spinner's long gone.
Yeah, Spinner's already long in, but President Mike's chasing him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing there. It's like, they stop. Basically, because of that, they're able to stop, although the guy keeps trying to rally everyone, and it's like, dude, shut up. Koda basically said, hey, shut up with the birds.
The birds.
And also
oh, God. The name of his... The technique that he used with the birds,
Hitchcock.
The Hitchcock. It's like, oh no! I heard like, oh, he's dead. Oh, you mean you killed him?
I was half expecting, the birds to fly through him, and then also just see a skeleton just fall over.
Yeah. Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds was one heck of a story.
But like, he's able to stop, and that's Dakota's like, he's like his head kind of blows up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Blows because apparently that's part of it. Like, oh.
Yeah, we had a little flashback to his family too.
Yep.
Because of that.
Yeah. And also that thing about like, him and his mom and dad, like, oh, his what happened? Oh, his dad defended his mom, and someone is being very bigoted towards his mom, and yeah, Kind of a little sweet little small story there.
Sweet little story, but
regardless, so yeah, they're able to stop the guy. At that point, everyone just kind of, you notice at that point, everyone's kind of okay, sitting down and just kind of getting, their wounds tended to. They're not seeing like mass arrests or anything because, like, okay, yeah, we know that's not what we need right now.
yeah.
Yeah, the thing was Spinner gets in and he seemingly stopped at the last second. President Mike seemed to have stopped him, but then Spinner gets back up and turns out he has one of the hands which has a little thing in it which will get Kurogiri moving again.
Yeah, because the recording device got broken.
Yeah.
Couldn't use that, but had something else.
Yeah, but President Mike wasn't able to stop him in time. And then Kurogiri's now active and, now he can do his thing because he has to, his whole thing is his chief programming is to help Shigaraki. Help him protect Shigaraki.
Yep.
So he goes to do that. He does this portal thing, which turns things around because now the villains can portal to where they need to be to mess things up the most. Because which also leads to the other problem, which is Himiko. When she dragged Izuku over and did all that stuff. Well, Izuku was able to get away, but she's upset over that. And also still upset over Jin. And turns out she has Jin's blood.
Yep.
Enough for about like 30. I think said something like 30 or 40 minutes. So she, at first, it looks like they stopped her because they stopped. No, it turns out it was like a formula that like attracts Nomu. Because Sue tried to stop her. Then, she drinks it anyway. Now she turns it gin. Now she's doing Sad Man Parade.
Yep.
Oh, crap.
Right at that moment, the warp gate opens and she goes, all right. Because right before that, she was going through the whole, if I use this now, like I'm losing this fight, I can use this and I can win this fight, but I need this for later.
Yeah. Just hemming and hawing. Just to put my trust in Spinner.
And she just uses it right then. Anyways, like I'm using it now. She uses it and then the warp gate opens. So and then she goes through.
Sadman Parade going through to multiple locations, including where All For One is, to where Shigaraki is. Yeah, problem. Because Sadman Parade, there is now hundreds of thousands of Twices.
Yep, and getting more and more and more by the moment.
Mm-hmm. This is a real problem.
The two biggest issues are the whole bunch that dropped in with where All For One was, if I remember correctly. Yeah. The other one was a handful, not a huge one, but a handful also popped up next to the Shigaraki fight.
Yeah, enough.
And that one was enough because it disrupted Aizawa and
Monoma. Yeah. And that, maybe
President Mike dropped in there, too.
Yeah. Which allowed Shigaraki now to use the quirks again, which is a problem. But Izuku's now there, so...
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it was like, he was about to do his decay quirk, right?
And then
Lady
Nagant blew his hand off.
Yeah, both his hands off.
Yeah, because he was going to drop the other one and blam.
I'm not sure what happened to her after. It's implied she might be dead.
It implies
because the thing is like,
might be.
The doctor's like, yellow, you can't go. You can't do that. You're not recovered yet. You're going to hurt yourselves. Like, you got to do it. Gotta do it. Izuku said I could still be a hero.
Yep. So... Lady Nagant blew his hands off. Of course, theoretically he can regenerate them. Yeah. But it kept him from touching the ground, and now Izuku is keeping him...
Yeah, from doing that.
From doing that.
So that's good.
And Shigaraki's still fighting. The whole fight between Shigaraki and All For One is still happening inside. That whole thing. They're battling for control constantly. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest part with Jin, as we were getting to, is what happens over in the battleground where All For One was, with Hawks and Endeavor, and... Because
Ochako and Sue managed to follow through the portal as well.
And we end up there and dealing with that next part.
The thing. The whole reason why I even wanted to do this whole My Hero Academia
was
thing.
This
it's
one
all came
episode.
Down to this.
It's one episode.
It's one specific thing that basically, so... Yeah, Ochako is basically, that's the thing, is Ochako's been trying to get through to Himiko because she realizes what Himiko is actually trying to say to her. So she's trying to talk to Himiko. Himiko says, like, no, you're too late. Piss off.
Mm-hmm.
She's mad now. She's really angry. And so, but Ochako's not going to give up because Ochako is very stubborn. So she's chasing after one of the things you have to find where's, Himiko in this mass of clones. But finds her. Why? Because she's the only one crying.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's one of the things we see Himiko struggling, because, like, why can't she use it to its full extent? Why can't she use Jin's quirk to the full extent? And, Ochako explains, it's because you're filled with hatred right now.
You don't
that's
like
the thing.
them as much.
You brought it up a while ago, and I could not remember if they had already said this or not, because you said, "Oh, turns out Himiko can, use the quirks of people's turns." That's not entirely true.
Only use them if she likes them enough.
She has to like them enough, but that's the thing. She has to have enough love for them, and that's the thing. By having full of hate, it's diminishing her ability to use Jin's quirk. But you also see that also. That's the other thing. It's like if she loves them enough, she was able to use Ochiko's quirk before too.
Yep.
Oh, she loves Ochiko.
Yep.
Remember way back also I said problematic queer representation?
Toxic Yuri.
Well, not just that. It's just the thing about Himiko. She's kind of just fills the thing, an old kind of homophobic trope of the psycho bisexual.
Yeah. It's not
Granted, in this case, it kind of, there is a, it's not as bad as some of those.
Yeah. There's been
particularly
worse.
with how they actually write a story to make you feel actual sympathy for Himiko. Because we find Ochiko's got fighting / arguing with Himiko, although we see Ochiko doesn't really have any intention of fighting. She's just trying to get to
She's trying
Himiko.
to stick next to you so I can keep talking to you.
She's trying to have a conversation with Himiko. She wants to talk about love with Himiko. She wants to talk about all that stuff. She wants to.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I apologize. I'm sorry I'm late. I get it, though. I heard what you're trying to say. And then Himiko, we see that. We kind of see a weird little thing with, like, to see the two of them as kids, right? We start seeing the flashbacks to Himiko. We more about Himiko's life. You see this, because we saw before Ochiko kind of seeing that one, hero, and that inspired her when she's a little kid. And we see this Himiko is crying, and it's like, then, the little Ochiko offering her arm out,
Yep.
and for blood. I'll give you my blood every day for the rest of your life. And we see that kind of that weird monstrous version of Himiko, and everything. And then the little child Ochiko is still just stubbornly offering help. And then Himiko opens up, and we see the whole thing with the her child, blamed for killing a bird she didn't kill. She just found it.
Yeah.
Still drank the blood because her quirk was trying to bring up. Going to quirk counseling, quote unquote, where they're told that basically that we see that sort of thing all the time. It's these degenerate quirks that and so don't worry, we'll make sure to stop that degenerate behavior. So then eventually her masking, pretending everything's fine, and eventually she snaps and attacks a classmate she had a crush on, who, by finding enough, part of the reason she gets across an Izuku is because Izuku looked a lot like their cold classmate.
Yep.
We see that he's like literally almost the same, just with black hair. He even has the same goofy T-shirt. The thing is, she also kind of likes people who are kind of beat up and bloody, because her brain is it's kind of implied the lack of blood because she needs it kind of messed with her brain chemistry.
Yeah.
And now she kind of associates blood, and a very strange thing there. To the point where she wants to kill people she likes, but also doesn't. Basically, her brain contradicts itself. She wants them around, she wants to love them, but she also understands this whole blood thing kind of kills them, and that's bad. But yeah, Ochiko gets through to her, and they are kind of, the problem is, Himiko stabbed her in the process
quite badly.
Yeah. Ochiko's losing a lot of blood. And at one point, Ochiko's, floating a lot of things. He starts vomiting, which I'm not sure if it's just her quirk or quirk and also getting stabbed in the stomach. Possibly both. And then the other thing, Ochiko has her quirk awakening.
Yep.
Which, because remember, her and Shigaraki's quirks work similarly, which is they have to use their hand touch with all 5 fingers to activate on the thing. With Shigaraki, it's decay. With Himiko or Ochiko, it's zero gravity. But the thing is, Ochiko's quirk awakens, and it becomes, she doesn't have to touch the thing. As long if she touches something and that's touching something else, it will spread.
Yep.
And also we have that one, the tiger, the Pussycats guy.
Oh.
He's like, whoa, because she could only lift 3 tons. It's like she's lifting thousands of jins up.
Yeah, because she's touching the huge mass of Sadman's Parade. She lifts all of them.
Like, whoa. Her quirk has definitely awakened.
Yeah.
She has gotten, her quirk, I think some people have analyzed, her quirk is now broken because it's OP as heck now.
Yeah, it's when you have zero gravity, it's kind of hard to do anything.
Are you touching the ground? Yeah, you're not anymore.
You have to try and swim, but the air is really thin. Yeah. It's hard to swim in the air.
So, regardless, after all this, it gets through to Himiko, and yeah, there's a whole thing. It's like Ocho was talking about how she was jealous of Himiko's smile and everything, and then oh my god, I've seen the manga panels, and like they did a perfect job with this
1-to-1.
Yeah, it's like, am I cute? The cutest in the whole world.
Yeah.
Falling to earth, and then Himiko, realizing Ochiko's dying,
Blood loss.
decides to stitch her up, then use her quirk one last time because we see she's suffering effects from overdoing with her quirk. Drinks some of Ochiko's blood, turns into Ochiko, and then takes her blood and gives Ochiko blood transfusion to keep her alive, knowing full well it's going to kill her in the process. Granted, it's kind of, there's a weird selfish thing, which is I'm not gonna go to a prison. I'm gonna die the way I want to live, which is free.
Yeah.
And we get a little bit there. It's like, we see the thing with Himiko, like a little thing, with the bird, and
yeah,
which is like, it's just the whole thing. There's like big implication if only her and Ochiko met earlier, maybe things would turn out.
Maybe things would have been better.
Because we see basically she was abused as a child. And the other thing was, I sent some people now, it's kind of like, they may have a point there, which is the whole thing with the court counsel. Like, man, this sure doesn't seem like a whole thing. It's like, don't worry, we can counsel this degenerate behavior out of them. And considering, it's like someone's like, oh my god, Himiko's whole backstory is about being a queer teenager.
Yep, basically.
It's an analogy.
That is pretty close.
So like, the Toga Choco thing.
Gotta beat the gay away.
Yep. The doomed Yuri.
Doomed Yuri. Doomed toxic Yuri.
So a lot of people watched the scene, and including myself, or saw the scene in the manga, and went, a lot of this is hard to explain as straight. You can't explain a lot of this way as straight.
There is no heterosexual explanation.
The only thing here is it's Ochiko's talking about her crush on Izuku a little bit in one line. But beyond that, it's like, okay, so we got pretty much established confirmation that Himiko definitely has a thing for Ochiko. Did Ochiko reciprocate in any fashion?
No, you don't get it. It's a different kind of love. It's not like that.
Did she? And the answer would be, my answer would be, she probably just started got the first inklings that maybe she finds Himiko attractive, but unfortunately was never able to really explore that because, well,
everything else.
Just there's no real chance to explore that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see that. Yeah, because like that bit there at the end is like, am I cute, the cutest in the whole world? It's like, how do you explain that away with heterosexuality? You can't. I would argue very much that this is where the problematic thing. It's possible Ochiko is the fourth queer character canonically queer character in My Hero Academia.
Could be.
She's possibly bi.
Yeah.
Because we know Himiko's bi. We have two trans characters, one of which not very well written. In the sense that, like, she was there for a few episodes and then she died very unceremoniously.
She got exploded.
Yeah. And we got Himiko, the psycho-bisexual, and like, that's not ideal, but again, they did at least make her sympathetic rather than just make her a monster.
Yeah.
And then I saw this was funny. A lot of fan reactions. I saw people were like, saw that we were ardently against Toga Choco, or like, okay, yeah, no, I can't argue against this. There is something weirdly gay going on between these two.
I'm trying to think if there's any other ones you could pull shipping wars over. But, Aizawa and Present Mike? Maybe that's too. I don't know.
Oh, you mean
I'm just trying to think if there's any other shipping pairs we could try and come up with.
Eraserhead and Present Mike is a very common one.
Yeah. Childhood friends.
Bakugo and Deku.
Oh yeah,
Bakugo
those two.
And Izuku.
Like Bakugo and Izuku is a common one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think that might have more. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so like that was a big deal for a lot. Of course, the other thing is like, people going into seeing all this stuff going, oh my god, doomed Yuri, let's go. And then, Pikachu faced when the doomed Yuri was in fact doomed.
Was in fact doomed. Unless they pull something next season and nope, they both survived. We got them
the last
enough.
shot we see of them in this season is Himiko kind of collapsing next to Ochiko, kind of have her in an embrace.
Yeah, they're lying next to each other.
Ochiko trying to plead with Himiko, don't do this, no. Right, because she wants Himiko to live, and oh boy. Because they're supposed to talk about romance together, and
Well, I mean, Hawks is in the same area. He's quick, right? Wait, no.
Wait, nope.
He's not anymore.
Yeah, he lost his quirk.
All for One took his quirk.
Yep.
The other bird dude.
Dark Shadow.
Dark Shadow's in the area. He's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, they can get to him pretty quick, right? If they get there quickly, they can.
Anyway, regardless, as it's all gone, we got Izuku and Shigaraki struggling with each other, and then you got All for One flying towards them, and then, hey, look, there's One for All. All Might is here.
All Might has shown up.
All Might's here, and it's like everyone's like, what are you going to do? You're quirkless now.
And then he pulls out the briefcase that we've seen before.
No, it turns out that cool car he's been driving, the briefcase we saw, it turns out he's got power armor.
He's got power armor. Yeah.
And he's going to use it, and he does use it. Meanwhile, he's doing his thing, which is he's smiling the whole time.
The whole time. I love how armor, full helmet covers everything, and then opens up just to show his grin.
It looks a little manic there.
A little manic, yep.
But yeah, it's also he's just getting into All for One's head, because it's like, one, he's already pissed off at him, and two, it's like, what doesn't just rankle you? You're going to be beaten up by a guy with no quirk.
Yeah, and that's the other one. They show like most fights against All for One are ranged attacks, because you don't want to get close, because you don't want him to touch you and take your quirk. All Might's got none anymore.
Doesn't matter. You can't take anything.
I can go right into your face.
Yeah, that's the thing. This power armor uses stuff that's very clearly inspired by a lot of Class 1A's quirks.
Literally calling out Class 1A techniques.
Yep, it's pretty neat. But that's the thing. It ends with them in a stalemate, and that's the end of the season.
Yeah, ends on a huge cliffhanger.
Dead. Bakugo's dead. Izuku's struggling with Shigaraki. All Might struggling with All for One. A lot of people are very much out of commission.
The only thing that's, done is Himiko and
Ochiko
Dabi
are both on the ground,
dying.
Yeah,
trying not to
die.
The only thing that's wrapped up at this point
The Todoroki's.
is Todoroki family.
Yeah.
We think, because they wrapped that up once before and then he came back, but I think that one's pretty well set.
Yeah, I mean, Dabi kind of disintegrated.
I don't think he's fully disintegrated, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's dead. They didn't confirm one way or another, but yeah, the last we saw of him was him mumbling, "I hate you," to his dad, and his dad going, "Tell me about it.
Just tell me.
Let it out. Let's talk."
I just want to hear you one last time.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if those are his last words or something like that.
Yeah,
but
so yeah, despite the fact this season is mostly action stuff, it's got some pretty strong emotional moments. The Todoroki bit, the Togachaco bit.
Yeah.
Man.
We see Gentle Criminal again.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Gentle Criminal helps out in La Brava.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one. What's it say? Skeptic.
Skeptic is
hacking everything, and then he's like gets in, and then he's like, haha, he's like cackling because he's got this. He's winning, and then
the coffin
she's
falling.
like, aha! I was wondering. I got you now. And then it's La Brava.
La Brava.
And then, yep, she uses her quirk again on Gentle Criminal so he can hold up the falling coffin in the sky. But, of course, he started to fail because it's too heavy. But then, he gets some...
But it slows it down long enough to get the system back on.
That, yep, they get, she's able to reprogram and stuff so to keep it afloat. And everything's working. And, yeah, nice little bit there.
Yeah.
Nice little bit with La
Pops
Brava.
up again. That's one thing that this season does a lot, is it references basically everyone we've seen so far.
It is tying up a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
It's like, season 4 felt like largely you're talking about was like felt like a weird like side thing. Oh, it's not quite so much of a side thing anymore, is it?
Yeah. So everyone we've seen before is coming back and having their little bit in the big final fight and whatnot. We got to bring everyone in.
Yep. So the other thing we got to talk about real quick is the movie. The fourth movie, You're Next, in which basically an Italian mob guy goes and decides he's going to be the next All Might, except now he becomes Dark Mike because he's stupid. And,
he's stupid.
And they have to fight him, and it takes place between season 6 and 7. And so there's a girl there who apparently her quirk is basically she can overcharge a quirk, but only for a very select few people. Most people just have their quirks kind of overload and they kind of pass out.
Yeah.
And then she had a butler guy who basically he had a neutralization quirk and nullified that, except her quirk's getting stronger and stronger, and also his arm got just blown off because their family home.
The Italian mob went after him because they wanted her quirk.
Yep.
And he got caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, so they basically got these people with quirks that are a little more powerful, and they have to fight them on this big floating airship thing. And he wants to be the next All Might, except he doesn't. He fundamentally misunderstands everything about All Might, and
because he just wants power, really.
Yep. So they fight him a lot, and they have to bunch of stuff there, and there you go. Kind of an okay movie, I guess. It's
an action movie. It's part of the course. Nothing story's important. It looks nice. There's some fun action scenes, but I think the story is just kind of passable.
It's just kind of all right. It's like it's also kind of suspends that disbelief. It's like, wow, this is happening right there, smack in the middle between 6 and 7. Okay, sure.
I believe that. How'd they deal with all that rubble?
Yeah, it's got some nice moments in it, but like there was a bit where like one of the villains has this thing where she basically makes people live their greatest fantasy. And
has a daydream.
Man, that was one little bit of a moment. It was like Todoroki's is just being young and having
all
a happy
of his family's
family.
there.
All his family's there, and they're
having
all happy.
time.
There's no abuse. There's no dead sibling or dead resurrected.
No dead
sibling.
Kid. Yeah, man. When I saw when they revealed the actual quirk of the butler dude, I was just like, "You mean it's Toma from Index? My right hand nullifies quirks." Really? That's how it's like that. That's what his quirk was.
The problem was, he got his hand replaced with a cool robot arm.
Yeah, which supposedly lost his quirk.
But then it got powered up by her quirk, so then he's able to neutralize her quirk forever, so there's no longer a problem. Because her whole thing was she kind of grew up kind of feeling like she can't ever touch anyone because, well, she can...
Basically anyone who touches her gets hurt.
Yeah. He was the first person allowed her to feel alive, and of course it's pretty clear they have a thing for each other. And it seems like he's a bit older than she is, but...
Maybe.
Because she was a child when they first met, but he seemed... Yeah, regardless. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's a little romantic thing going on. But yeah, it has this funny thing. You just see all the... I was just kind of seeing you just saw everyone's little fantasies. Like, of course, Kaminari and Mineta. Girls chasing after them.
Yeah.
Or like, the one that's also kind of sad is Ida wanted to just be a hero with his brother, which he can't be a hero anymore because he's now paraplegic because of Stain.
Yep.
Well, you also you don't see all of them in detail, but like Froppy's is funny.
Just
singing with her family.
Yep.
Okay, sure.
Just riveting with family.
That's kind of cute, but also okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But also then you get glimpses of other ones because we don't kind of see that weird meta dream realm, and it's like Jiro's clearly like performing something. Sarah's doing something with his tape. Don't know what that is. Momo just, I guess, drinking tea and eating cakes, which, you know what? Fair enough.
I don't
know what Ochiko's was. They don't show it because she's floating on a cloud. It looks like her arms draped around, like she's holding hands with someone. Like, who's she holding hands with? I hate it's Himiko, but I suspect it's supposed to be Izuku.
So probably. That's the canon answer.
The canon's wrong. Because it's still at this point, if you noticed, nothing has really happened between Izuku and Ochiko.
Yeah,
like literally
they've
nothing.
been kind of busy.
I mean, still, like their whole dynamic again just feels like they are the couple because they are supposed to be the couple.
Yeah,
it's like, and like a lot. I'm very much getting increasingly agreeing with this, which is honestly, Izuku and Bakugo feel like a more natural actual couple.
Yeah.
Let Izuku and Ochiko have their angry blondes. They're psycho blondes.
Yeah.
There's also a bit there. Yeah, Bakugo got to do it. One of them looks like one of the villain guys. Looks like he has almost kind of a little bit of a D&D thing going on, but Bakugo cheats. You cheated, yeah.
Yeah, it's Bakugo. Just blows it up.
Yeah.
It was all
right,
pretty good. It was all right.
It's like moments, but yeah, it's just kind of pretty. Honestly, it's kind of a.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little above mid. It's fun. Okay. It's all right. No skin off your nose if you miss it. Really.
Yeah.
Again, it's
not really
My Hero.
Much.
It's a My Hero Academia movie. It cannot have any bearing on the story.
Yep.
And it does not.
Yep.
Fully wrapped up. I love the end. The very end with the new guy. I can't even remember his name because I don't even care.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, your quirk is gone forever. My contract is complete. Bye. And turns around and starts leaving.
I have to go now.
Just like, yep, my job here is done. Bye. And I was like, no, come back.
Yeah,
and then it's like,
just
yeah.
no. He's like, I want you to be happy. Yeah, you make me happy, stupid.
You make me happy. Like, oh.
Oh.
It's like, don't lie. You want her to stay anyway.
Yeah. He's just assuming that, she would never go for a guy like me. I'm just a lowly butler.
I'm a poor boy from a poor family.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. 9 out of 10. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right, I guess.
There's one thing we didn't talk about before everything happened. Shiny naval laser dude.
Oh, right. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he turned out he was a traitor.
He was a traitor the whole time.
Yeah.
But because of his parents, and it turns out his quirk was given to him by All For One.
Which is why he gets the stomach aches, because his quirk is not agreeing with his body.
Because it doesn't match. It was given. Yeah, it's not his original
quirkless, essentially.
Quirk. But then they end up using that to their advantage to get All For One and crew into the right spot for the teleporting thing.
Also, it's pretty clear they are very much forgiving of him.
Yeah, because he felt like he was forced into it.
He is freaking out, right? He's been pretty much forced into it at this point.
Yeah. His parents forced him into it because they were rich and wanted, we can't have a quirkless kid.
Yeah. And then the parents then realized how far and over the head they were, but it was too late at that point. And
yeah.
Yeah, it was just
so that was a whole thing.
That was a big thing. I almost forgot about that entirely because it's so early in the season.
Yeah, because it's very early in the season. Izuku overhears the conversation. No, it wasn't Izuku. It was Invisible Girl.
Yep.
Overhears it.
We saw
and then
her face.
Izuku. Yes, that was a big one. We saw her face for a little bit. What caused? She deflected. It was right there in the forest. She deflected the naval laser.
Yeah, and that causes a thing because her whole quirk is not invisibility; it's about light refraction and whatnot.
Yeah, she bends light,
and that's what causes her invisibility.
Yep.
Arguably, that means she could eventually make herself visible again. But yeah,
if she gains more control over it, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another thing. Two other things I did want to mention real quick. One was in the movie. I forgot. Izuku was able to break out of the fantasy thing because the the remnants of One for All and hey.
Wake up, dude. This ain't real.
So he was able to wake up the guy with the robot arm, this butler guy. And also during the season, after, we get to see some bits where, there's the guy, the government guy from the U.S. is kind of, talking to the president of the United States, who's like, he's basically all ready to just give up.
Yeah, it's like
give in to
the only way we're going to survive.
And he's like, we're not going to survive that, you stupid idiot.
You stupid idiot. If we surrender, we're dead.
And then it was funny enough, Hayes, like, there's a news reporter kind of talking about because, Dobby was actually causing actual massive weather changes of his heat up. And she's talking about this, and then she's talking about basically we can't just give in to them. And she's like on the TV just saying say no to All For One.
Yep.
And she's in Washington State.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. Usually.
Yeah.
We know we can recognize when, hey, like, maybe we shouldn't give in to this guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, that was like pretty cool. Yeah, because that was a pretty cool thing. That was also there was a nice little line too regarding and kind of related to that, which is the whole world might be changed because of the emotions of one girl. The news report referring to Himiko, but actually turned out the other girl was the one who changed it. Ochiko. The emotions of one girl changed everything.
Yep, because if she didn't do that, Sad Man's Parade would have just completely ended everything.
So, okay, that's it.
That's it.
For real this time.
That's the season.
That's it. That's the end of the season, which means we are completely caught up on My Hero Academia for now. We will come back when there's more. We have more to talk about. We might, again, Vigilantes we'll definitely do season 8. That won't be till early next year. I think season 7 overall, it's got a couple, there's a couple parts about it which are a little weaker, namely the whole jumping around in time thing doesn't work very well. It is kind of sometimes drags a little bit because it is just a constant battle.
There's it's just the one battle for the entire season.
And it's not even done yet.
Yeah, and it's not even done yet.
It also has some really good moments throughout it as well, which really elevate help really elevate the rest of it. So yeah, again, the Todoroki family, the Togachaco thing, those are big emotional moments. Bakugo's death, even I was like not prepared for. Actually, oh wow, that actually kind of is sad. I wasn't prepared for that because he had the All Might call, and we actually see Bakugo being calm as like even admitting, I just wanted your autograph. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. I know I like the character now. This sucks.
Oh no, Bakugo's actually pretty good.
He is the Baku goat.
Bakugoat.
Yeah. So it's and of course there's a whole thing with Star and Stripe was kind of a fumbling a little bit to say the least. Yeah, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can listen to other episodes where I'm not sick on newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com. It's spelled Libsyn. You can check out all of them there and subscribe to the RSS feed. And if you also want to subscribe elsewhere at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or Amazon Podcasts, search for New to Weeaboo or click the buttons and whatnot, and you subscribe on those as well. If you want to contact us, you do so via email, newtoweeaboo@gmail.com if you have comments or criticisms or anime recommendations or whatever. And of course, you can follow us on our various social media. It's all listed at newtoweeaboo.libsyn.com/contact. It's all listed there, and you can follow any of those accounts and keep up to date with things. Okay, so now we've wrapped up My Hero Academia. Next time, for the final episode of April, we'll be talking about the new anime for the spring 2025 season.
Yay.
We haven't that. I double checked. There's just enough time for us to do it in this month.
Yay.
So we'll be doing that next time, and then
Sampler platter time.
we'll see. There's some good stuff coming out this season.
See if we'll actually get it this time, though.
Yeah. So hopefully, there's a couple things there I definitely want to watch. So we'll see how this goes. Try to enjoy your April. Hope to God those tariffs don't hold.
God.
And yeah. Fun times.
See you next time.
See you guys.